Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Millennial Investments. Today we're going to be going over some of the stocks we reviewed in our coffee and stock session over the weekend for this morning's pre-market coffee and stock session. We're currently going to spend about a minute or so per stock since the list is a little bit longer just to see how they opened up pre-market and just, see what we're going to expect based off of our analysis from this weekend. And just look at what to expect going into the day's trading session, with it being a shorter week. If you have any questions, feel free to post comments in the link below. Comments in the comment section below. Sorry, I'm just waking up myself and getting straight to work. So let's see here. Let me open up my chat box in case anybody hops in here real quick, if you don't mind. Open web browser. And then we're going to pull that out. Give me 1 second. We can get started. All right, got my chat box there. Go ahead and pull that out a little bit. All right. So, as you know, this is Coffee and Stocks, where we spend some time talking stocks over the weekend, but also I wanted to try a pre-market review for Coffee and Stocks, where we'll spend about 30 minutes going over these trades. Let's get straight to it, though. One thing I want to point out with Solo is that we gapped up pretty heavy and opened up pre-market session at the 811 price range. Is currently sitting at 809. We were looking forward to stay above this green trend line here, moving forward to confirm that it will keep trading on that trend line and finding support there. As you can see on the 1 hour, though, we are showing signals for the MACD to the upside, and even on the volume weighted MACD and the RSI is showing up signals as well. We're seeing relatively equal selling and buying in this pre-market session for Solo, but I will definitely see if we stay above that trend line come market open, because all of that can change. Looking at Teck, let's see here. I haven't looked at any of these going in. We're currently trading below market close from Friday, but showing strength to the upside as we're trading on top of that EMA on the 1 hour. We can look into this a little bit more in depth on the 10-minute and see that the stock is currently working to the upside as well here. Definitely another one to keep an eye on going into pre-market, as we did gap up on the 10th and never backfilled that gap. And there's another gap fill that was never taken care of that I'd like to point out right here on the 8th from the 18 to 1860 price levels, although it's not as big as this gap from the 19. Well, it's about the same. Seems to be gapping up for the past 2 days. It even gapped up back here at the beginning of February as well. So it looks like we got some people joining us. If you'll drop your name in the chat so I can address you properly. If you have any stocks you want to look at, I don't mind doing that while we have the time before the market opens. I will be mainly focused on the market going into the day, but just wanted to spend this time for our coffee and stock session for pre-market. Teck looking strong going into pre-market, though, bouncing off of this support level that was found at 1957 on a smaller time frame. Watching this, we want to land above the close to go green for the day. Once market opens here 8:30 Central Time, is currently 6:57 a.m. Central Time here, so still got an hour and a half to see how it performs pre-market. Let's see, we're going to have a look at Nio, which we gapped up on. We were expecting a gap up on this. I think I stated that in the review we had. Although we were looking to see if it was going to gap up and break through this trend line, or retest it at least, or gap down and retest the 54.20. Looking at it from a 10-minute time frame, we're currently above where we closed last Friday. Strong signals here for an upside for the day and potentially the rest of the trading week. On the 10-minute level, I'd like to identify the fact that we are finding support here in this area. These price ranges between the $59 and $60 price ranges, which could basically catapult the stock to the upside. We have somebody else in here with us. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Like I said, please drop your name in the chat here on YouTube so I can know who I'm addressing. If you have any questions about any stocks we can review before we open the day's market, feel free to let me know. But I'm looking for this to stay above that, find support here going into the day. If it does, then I will be placing some option calls on the trade to continue making more profits for an allotted amount of my portfolio that I have dedicated to investing into Nio long term. So let's see how we perform here. Market open, pre-market looks pretty nice so far. Just to go a little bit more in depth on the 5-minute, like I said, it gapped up right above the market close, which is pretty nice. And keep moving forward. So JMIA, excuse me, Jumia. I think it was an Argentina-based company. It actually gapped up itself pre-market above. I know this is real small to see, but this light blue line is where the current price line is. If you're looking at my current trades, I'll try to zoom in here as much as I can, so you can kind of see. There you go. Gapped up to, I gotta pull back to the 63.33, which is actually about a full $1 above after seeing a quick sell-off there on Friday's session. As you can see, that red candle. So looks like we will be trying to retest the 65, and that's only on the smaller time frame. Let's look at it from a longer time frame. So this actually verifies what I've been pushing to everybody about the horizontal price ranges that we trade within. Once you are able to identify them based off the high level of resistance and low level of support in that price range, you can typically expect a stock that is a growth stock to continue trading within those dedicated price ranges until they either break out or release some type of catalyst to get them out of that channel, whether it's up or down. That applies both ways. So I'll look for this to retest to 67 if it stays in this direction that it's headed, opening up pre-market. Over the weekend, nothing caused the stock to gap down. So looks pretty strong to retest those 67, 63 price ranges. And for the potential entry, I think we discussed over the weekend, might be a good place here to do so. But not really seeing anything else that shows me otherwise in that stock. So our next stock is going to be LSPD, another member requested stock that we reviewed over the weekend. I just want to give an update on all of these as much as possible for people that are part of our investors community that have, positions or looking to make entries into this stock so they can make wiser decisions and know what to expect going into the trading session. Looks like we opened up pre-market. Let's see if we're up or down. Looks like it was relatively sideways. It looks like we're trying to break below the trend line. We might trade along the bottom side of this trend line going forward. Definitely something to look for throughout the rest of this week to determine how the trade ends. One thing I would like to add that I think I'm going to try to start doing is I'm going to add the links to our website where you can basically see the charts live, or add the chart links directly from TradingView, which is where I do my chart analysis anyways. I can publish those for you guys to receive, and what it'll do is it will chart where we are looking at the trends, where we set our trend lines, our horizontal trend lines and things of that nature to basically allow you to see how the trade played out in the long run. So let's see, let me do this real quick. Let me open something up if you don't mind. That way I can share it with everyone else. get this done. Reviewing some stocks pre-market. If you have some free time to join us, go ahead and push that out so everybody can jump in on here. Seeing some people jump in. I don't expect a lot of people being here with it being so early in the morning, but I wanted to go ahead and have this here for anyone that would want to look over this going into today's trading session. Excuse me, I'm still asleep myself. But we're snowed in. It's 3 degrees here in Louisiana, so I'll be here looking at trades all week. All right, back to the trades. So, once again, what we were expecting with LSPD was to follow this trend line going into the week, but this is also verifying why I don't use diagonal trend lines due to the fact that the stock can be so volatile within a horizontal price range that it'll break your trend line, and you're always having to readjust them and things to that nature. So I'm gonna actually get rid of that. We're currently trading sideways in our current price range, so let's see how it opens up today. I don't know too much about LSPD myself, but I would love to do more DD on the stock and evaluate the company. I think I did that over the weekend, actually. As far as a fundamental trade, looking long term. Going into our next trade is something I'm highly interested in, and that's BLNK. I stated that I would be looking for some option calls off of this stock as we head back towards the 63, which you can see on pre-market. We actually gapped up just a little bit, not far, about 50 cents this morning, or I'm sorry, about 70, 80 cents, give or take, this morning, which is a good sign. Leads into my play about placing calls on this stock in order to acquire profits and then establish free equity stake on it for the longer term hold, with this being an EV play. Definitely good signals here. We could backfill to the close. This blue line is what you're looking at, is our close from Friday. We could backfill to that before moving forward. But at least we didn't gap down this morning, and we did not break our current diagonal trend line that we set based on the stock's trajectory, which you can see on a longer time frame, which is what we're looking at now. Let me reset my chart. So this is what we're kind of looking for. I mean, you can kind of move this up. This is why it seems like you always have to readjust it. But we broke down a little bit there in this pre-market session. I was hoping for that not to occur here, and it didn't. It showed strong signals to the upside. This is a great EV play. It's a charging station company, so holding this long term is going to play into the Biden administration era, as long as they're here and making the changes they are on the EV front and Green Deal, clean energy push. Definitely something to hold longer term, at least for the next few years. I want to look next at RMO, which is something I was paying attention to over the weekend. We did gap up this pre-market back closer to the 1712 price levels, which is a good signal of a reversal that we were expecting. As you can see here, I stated that we would most likely be reversing back to the upside and retesting those 1712s, which it landed right at those price levels, and saw some resistance there and then bounced back down. So going into market open, it could come back and backfill to the 1667 again before moving forward, but at least it's showing signs of trying to reverse. This is a lithium battery manufacturer, which plays into EVs as well, as we discussed over this weekend's coffee and session stocks. And we were looking for this to retest the 1712, just to update everybody that may be viewing this for the first time. When you do view it, we were looking for this to retest the 1712 and continue moving higher to fill the gap that you can apparently see here, back to the 1772s, and get back on track with its projected trend that we were going after when we initially alerted on this stock. We do have newfound support at the $16 price levels, which it seems to hold strong on its support levels. And I have a lot of faith in the company overall. This is a company that was founded by Tesla, SpaceX, Amazon, and Samsung with the mission of delivering lithium batteries for EV type vehicles. They just signed a partnership deal with another company to start even focusing on waste management vehicles. I updated you guys on that. I'm not gonna go into too much detail about these stocks, as you all should be very aware if you have been following the coffee and stocks episodes. But really looking for this to balance up more. As you can see, we're stopping at the 16.98 price levels right now during pre-market. I want to see how it goes throughout pre-market and then how it opens as well. That's going to determine a lot. Another company that we looked at over the weekend was Blackberry, and it did the same. A lot of companies gapped up this morning due to most likely the fact that Trump was acquitted on his impeachment. Everybody assumed that the market was going to be up, and apparently that's exactly what happened. So we're seeing a lot of gap ups to the upside, but then you're also seeing the same type of consolidation occurring for all of these stocks at the same time in the same manner. So BB opened up 1309 again when it did open up, but it did reach 1328 before consolidating back exactly to the 1309 where it opened pre-market session. We can look at that as a basis point to ride along for the rest of the day. So I'm going to go ahead and plot my trend line at the price level to see how it trades on or above that. You can see previously it once was a level of resistance and then became a level of support as the stock was trading above those trend lines, broke that support level, and then now we're finding support above it again. So what that tells me is that we could potentially see this stock trying to trade to the upside and break through these 1362s, which is something that we were targeting in our discussions over the weekend to see if we could break the 1362 and begin trading between the 1362 and $18 price ranges moving forward. I know some people that are holding positions around the $17 price level, which is actually near a level of resistance. I think that's a little high personally. If I would have gotten to the stock, I'm pretty sure they may have possibly bought in right here around this breakout, this gap up. But as you can see, the stocks always normally backfill those gaps, and that's exactly what we did. We backfilled here and it landed right where it started before bouncing again and then breaking down more. But like I said, we're looking forward to break this 1362, as you can see here, to start trading in this price range. And I think that would provide somewhere near 20 to 30% if we do hit $18 again on the stock, if you were to place a position on the trade now. Another stock we looked at was Bionano Genomics, BNGO. We were looking to see if we were going to find strong support above these levels here. So I'm going to get rid of one of these resistance lines. And as you can see, we are trading above this price level. We're looking to find support above the 1443, which the stock is currently doing fairly well. It opened this pre-market, gapped up above it. Look at that, landed right on top of the support levels that I identified over this weekend. Broke out to $15 and then consolidated, found support again, although it did dip on this candle. Found support again and bounced right back up. So we could be going back to the upside here as we expected on BNGO. I think that was a fairly nice call on our part with breaking this stock down and knowing what to look for going into today's pre-market session, and finding our support level based on our previous level of resistance. As you can see here, that's what we're looking at. So this is a good way to identify entries into stocks, and the directions of the stock, and then also knowing what to expect going into it. So I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on BNGO throughout today's trading session, because I think I stated I was looking at potentially placing a option call on this. Although the fundamentals didn't look too nice, I just like the trend line of the stock and what it's currently doing. So I might be looking for some March. Looks like I'll be going after the March $15 calls, and that way, if the stock continues on its trend line that it's currently on, then I'll be deep in the money moving forward. We currently have a, let's see what I want. Let me get some more real estate here. By March, let's do it on the daily. We're looking at the stock potentially reaching 1550 going into March. So buying some March 15 calls right now would put me pretty nice in the money. I would make about $110 off the trade. That would at least allow me to buy 5 shares on the stock and let that run. But like I said before, I didn't really like the fundamentals on the company for a longer term investment, but I will look for a shorter term swing on it to that $15 price range in order to profit off of the option calls that I'll be placing here. If you're a premium member, you should be able to receive that option call once I make that trade myself. So you can track and follow these trades and understand a little bit more, not only looking at my trend analysis, but how I'm actually trading the stock in order to profit the way I am, and how you can as well. So glad to see BNGO find that support as we expected, above that 14. As you can see, the 1443 level became the level of support because it was the previous level of resistance, as I stated before. And we're moving higher. I can't remember who requested to look at this stock, but this is good signs for you if you currently have a position in it. I think somebody was pretty low in their price average, and so this is looking pretty nice moving forward. One thing I do want to bring up is SNDL. Again, all stocks seem to gap up this morning, but it seems like they gapped right back down. And SNDL is currently riding the 213 price level, which really, if you identified based on this right here and this right here, was a previous level of resistance. It once was a level of support here. We can go further back in the trade if we wanted to and kind of identify those trend lines some more, and where it became a support level once again here. So the fact that we're sitting above that this pre-market, I expected to stay above that going into today's trading session, as it will support here and here as well. So SNDL can see some strong upside moving into the week based on that, as long as we stay above the 214, now that we have found strength above it in this pre-market session. But of course, we can market open and this drop right down below it. So that's something to watch. I want to watch moving into this. Another weed play is, or a cannabis stock, is TLRY. Just like everything else, bounced up above, gapped up, and found support on a $30 price level, which is currently a strong level of support if you look at it from this standpoint. So that's what we're starting to see in this morning's trading sessions, is that these stocks are gapping up and finding support on their previous levels of resistance. Specifically on the 5 to 10 minute time frame is what I've been noticing just going through these trade reviews. And it seems like they're finding strong support there, even though they're gapping up. They're finding strong support there in order to build a platform to continue moving back to the upside moving into this week. So that's definitely something you need to do with any stock that you're looking at, is identify. I always identify my levels of resistance and my levels of support on the 4-hour time frames, because the smaller time frames can be up and down so heavy that it's just easier to identify things like that. So here I identified TLRY found support. I can kind of zoom in on this a little bit for us. TLRY found support on the $28.70 price range, which was the previous level of support. We reversed, and then it ran into resistance right here at the 31.15, and it's currently sitting at the 31.49. But I want to take the time to point something out. We found resistance at the 31.15 in today's pre-market, and that was based off trend lines I set before we even saw this. So this is why I'm trying to get everybody to look at these trades from a horizontal trend line versus a diagonal trend line that you always have to adjust based on, large price action swings in a stock. that tend to break that. But with this type of strategy, you're able to really identify where the stock currently is and where it's potentially going, and it feeds into the narrative much easier, as you can see here. And so with TLRY, a new level of resistance that we need to break through is the 31.15 before we head back to the $35 price levels, which is the second level of resistance currently, and has been a level of resistance for some time now. As you can see here, it spent about an hour and a half trying to retest those levels and was never able to break out. And we could go back and look and see where the $35 level of resistance plays a part in the stock's price action. But just for now, right now, I'm going to focus on pre-market. I'm only spending about a minute on these stocks. I see that we have a few viewers here. I wasn't expecting to have anybody this morning with it being so early. If there's any stocks that you want to review because of the fact that we're able to fly through these pretty quickly, feel free to add it in the chat, and also let me know your price average if you have a position in the stock, and if you want to, the amount of the position you hold, and just to let me know who I'm talking to so I can reference you properly. But that's what I'm looking at for TLRY going into this week's trading session, is to see if the stock finds any ability to break above the 31.15. I'm actually going to set an alert here for myself to buy call options if we break above the 31.15 to make some short-term profits off of it once it starts trading in this price range. If it hits the 35 again and comes back down, then the money I make off of that move to the upside off the option calls, I will use to buy a equity stake in the company, and then place another option call with the initial money I had in order to do it all over again. And this is how I'm acquiring free shares in stocks, and for longer term equity stakes in these companies that I feel like are gonna perform, specifically driven by the Biden administration, but and also to accommodate for the way the economy is moving as well. Something more towards the social sentiment side, but I don't always consider social sentiment. I consider trend analysis and fundamentals first and foremost. How well the company is doing and how their stock's doing in relation to that performance by the company. Let's look at Zoom real quick. A lot of people are excited about Zoom. Once again, we had a gap up this morning, but it seems like we landed right back, actually below where we were. It gapped down this morning, excuse me. This is after hour session Friday. This is pre-market in the orange here, as you can see, on Monday or Tuesday today. We actually gapped down, but we found support right here on the 250 and bounced back up and hit that level of resistance. Once again, identifying key levels of resistance, whether it be on the 4-hour or even on your smaller time frames, just to understand, how the price is currently trading, what we need to, what levels we need to find support on, and what levels we need to break through in order to progress in the trade. Moving forward, though, I think Zoom is kind of trading sideways right now. Let's see what we identified as our current price ranges. Yeah, we're down. We're showing down on pre-market. And I think I had stated that it might retrace to the 212 in our review over the weekend. Gary, I did receive your request for Golden Nugget online gaming. We will look at that before we close this session out this morning. I just wanted to spend some time over the stocks we reviewed over the weekend. But I do think that I stated that Zoom or Zom or whatever you want to call it, Zomedica, ZOM, will be retracing to the 212 price levels, which I would be looking for a small equity stake entry into the stock. I don't think the stock has any options for me to benefit on that initial strategy that I've been talking about with you guys, and they don't. So if I was going to play this, it would be equity stake only, which I'm an options trader with a long-term equity stake type hold. Any predictions for TLRY earning report for Friday? I will definitely look into that, Joshua, here shortly. I'll go back to it if you don't mind sticking around while I kind of wrap up some of these reviews that we conducted over the weekend. But looking forward to retrace to the 212 and then bounce off of that support level. If we don't find support there, then we're probably gonna gap fill to this. Oh man, what is going on? My computer locked. But to the 201, we might gap fill there, and if we keep going down, it might dip a little bit below to the 190 or something and bounce back up. But a lot of attention's on ZOM, so you can probably see a lot of retail investors start pouring into the stock, going into market open even today. So, you know, this could all be defied by how these retail investors come into the stock and, you know, manipulate the current price action or trend that the trades in, just because a lot of people are reviewing this stock and a lot of people are mentioning it across social media sites. And once you start picking up the mass retail investor sentiment on a stock, then it's no telling where the stock will go. So, but that's what I'm looking at on this current, you know, situation. And that's what I'm hoping for, is a 212 drop, and I might throw some of my options profits into it if I conduct or close today. But that's what I'm looking for. I'll go ahead and take a minute to answer your question since you're here with us, Joshua. What are our predictions for TLRY earning report? So let's look at the fundamentals on it. I don't have my TDA pulled up, so what I'll do on the side is try to pull it up while we are doing this, and I can kind of show you the previous earnings report, how they performed over the course of the last year. Let that load there for a minute, but while I wait for that to load, I'll go ahead and move on to BGI, which is a stock that we were looking for to break the 273 and begin trading in this price range. It looks like we gapped down instead, and so it looks like we'll be stuck sideways in this price range going forward. That's just what it's indicating based on that drop down, and nothing showing that it's attempting to move up. It doesn't seem like a lot of volumes going through this pre-market, but let's see. Let me get that loading. But this actually gapped down. I thought it was going to gap up above the 273 and begin trading back in this price range, and that would have actually provided us, I believe it was like a 50 to 60% profit margin if you were to enter the trade above that 273 price level. I can get the quick number real quick. We were actually looking at what? Hold on, that's wrong. This time, nice. It was actually 34%. I'm sorry. Let me correct myself. But that's still an ideal trade, which our trades here at Millennial Investments are focused on 10 to 20% swings on the trade. So this is 14% below our maximum. I do have my TD and Ameritrade trade pulled up here, so we can look at the fundamentals regarding TLRY that Joshua requested real quick, if you guys don't mind. Let's see. I'll actually just do this. So TLRY, looking at the company year over year, this is why I preferred SNDL over TLRY, and I'll show you that in a minute. And this is looking at it from a fundamental analysis. There's some things I want to show out that I want to point out to you that make a difference. One thing you want to look at is your earnings per share, and that's your year-over-year percentage. And as you can see on the 5-year trend, we're on the downside, and we're currently down negative 74% year-over-year. And you're seeing the EPS for every share you own. This is how much you lose over that year's time. So this is something key when you're looking at something long-term or playing a trade based off of earnings report. Their net profits margin is down negative 18% year-over-year. Their gross margin, profit margin, is down negative 233%, with the operating profit margin of only 3%. That does not, that does not show good signs. Now, if you look at it quarter over quarter, though, the company is reversing this action. We could potentially go positive at Q4 of 2020 based on how the stock performed. Now, a lot of this, I believe, is based off of the Biden administration coming into play and focusing on legalizing the weed. So, with that being said, EPS is going to show signs of this because of the fact that the company is performing with its stock price action so well that it's adding value to the stock. But you can't let social movements that kill evaluations of companies be your determining factor, I guess you could say. We can actually look at the earnings here, just to go ahead and do it. And as you can see, typically in Q4 leading up, the stock has typically seen it trade to the downside. I'm expecting the same thing as the signals show here, are already going down. But this was based off of the stock blowing up from the social movement by Wall Street Bets and the retail investors coming in and sending the stock to the freaking moon, basically. As you can see, last Q4 19, the stock was only at $17. So I feel like the fundamentals are destroyed on this company now because of that, and that's something to look for. And another thing I want to add to earnings reports is that you want to buy into the stock a week or two at least before the earnings report, and be ready to sell out of the stock the day before the earnings report. Because by the time the earnings report is done, all of the sentiment going into it having great earnings is already built up, and people are already profit taking before they even release the earnings report. So I wouldn't play this based off of earnings. I wouldn't play it based off of the quarter over quarter fundamentals. I would play this long term and base my earnings report based off how the company has done over time, and try to dissect that from the social sentiment that's going into these trades, which is kind of destroying it. Yes, TLRY. Arthur. Tilray. What do you think? That's what we're currently looking at right now. This is the fundamentals on the trade. He asked if we were looking at it based on, what are our predictions for earnings report for Wednesday. I think the stock's actually probably going to pull back. We can go back into our trend analysis on it if you want to, since now this is a conversation. Like I said, we looked at the stock over the weekend for you guys that weren't probably here. And we were looking at this being a strong level of resistance. And as you can see, it opened up Tuesday's price pre-market, gapping up and finding resistance there again, which that was identified from previous. You can look back into this video later. But I think what's going to happen is, if we don't break above the 31 in this trading session, then it's going to break back down with, if earnings report is this Wednesday, then it's going to break back down, which I can find out if it is. Let me see. Give me a second. If you'll bear with me. I know a lot of people don't like just sitting around. Yeah, we have earnings call tomorrow after hours. So I think this, if it doesn't find support above the 31.15, it's going to trade back down to the 28 for a potential re-entry. That's not a bad thing, just because the stock price goes down. But I'm not playing this off earnings. I'm playing it off the trend. Yeah, I wasn't, but I am going to subscribe. Cool. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for showing the support. Feel free to share it too with other people that might be interested. We're creating a new segment here called Coffee and Stocks, where on Saturdays we spend an hour recapping over the week and reviewing trades that you guys want to look at. If you want to join us there, hit the notification bell so that you can get alerts when we do go live with it. But I also wanted to spend like 30-minute segments pre-market to discuss trades going into the day based off of the trades we discussed over the weekend. And that's what we're reviewing here right now. But, if you hop in on pre-market and you want to look at a stock, great. I don't have a problem doing that because this is what I'm doing. But that's my outlook on TLRY or Tilray and what to expect going there. I think we stopped on BGI. I'm not sure if I think it was going to be trading sideways just to catch back up to where we were at. I'm looking at this potentially retrade. Do I do this every day? Yes, I will be doing pre-market sessions called Coffee and Stocks every day. I do free trade alerts once a day, and I do trade reviews on the premium trade alerts that we send out to our premium members at millennialinvestments.com. Just so you know, Millennial Investments is a social investor network where we basically get together, discuss trades, share information. We offer a premium trade tracker so people can learn from the mistakes that they make, but also learn from the progress they make as well. And then we also have a due diligence database where we are now have the ability to log DD on stocks. So if a new member comes to our community and they say, what do you think about this stock? Well, from a fundamental basis, you can go look at this link and it will have all of the research that our community has gathered on the stock to help you determine whether or not you have confidence in the investment. And then also I do trade reviews based on stocks that we feel like are moving. We do not follow social sentiment stocks here. I find trades that are focused on entries before the move ever occurs, and you'll see that if you follow our trades, even our trade reviews. Now I will start from where we alerted on the stock and go through the entire process of the trade. But to go ahead and kind of wrap up these last 5 stocks, looking at BGI to potentially retest this market close from Friday, or that's not Friday, I think that's Thursday. Yeah, from Thursday's trading session. It's potentially going to pull back here to the 220, just based off how it got down this pre-market session. So going forward, pay attention to that. Let me see. Our next stock is going to be NXTD. Of course, it gapped up and pulled back a little bit pre-market session. Let's look at it from the 4-hour. If you guys don't mind, I have to go get my daughter real quick. So 1 second. She just woke up on me. I will add OEG to the list, Julian. Just give me a second to come back. Troopers with me, so excuse me. What are you doing? I'm gonna go off cam if you don't mind. All right, looking at NXTD, we did gap up into pre-market this session and then pulled back a little bit, but it looks like we're breaking that 211 level of resistance and finding support above that level. As you can see, once again, this occurred here as expected, finding support above that level and then moving forward. So looks like we're going to be safe on NXTD if you have a current position in it. And I would see where the stock has traded before. Let me see. So it looks like we're going to be retesting the 249 price levels going into the rest of this week. I'm currently pulling back TLRY. It looks like TLRY finally broke above. I'll have to look at that alert. That was an alert to buy options on TLRY because it most likely broke above 31. No, we're below it. Or no, yeah, we are. We broke above the 31.15. Let's see if we find support going into that, just for you guys that were interested in TLRY. All right. Looking at NXTD though, we're doing pretty well pre-market. We're above the close from, I believe, looks like Thursday's trading session. Yeah. And trading higher. PEG. I'll add it to the list. Let's see. PEG. But NXTD, might look for, as always, if I'm not in a stock, I look for options on it, which this stock has options. OEG. Okay, I'll fix that. All right. But it looks like I'll be making some calls on this. Probably 250 calls into maybe March, April. Looks like April has more open interest, so it'll cost me about $100 a contract. So that's a good entry. I have faith in the stock with it opening up pretty strong the way it has. We can get straight to OEG if you guys want. Oh, well, I don't want to skip over Gary's request. He wanted to look at Golden Nugget online gaming real quick, so we'll take some time to do that. As always, Gary, I think you've been watching our segments. We always start with identifying our levels of resistance and our levels of support. As always, that's key before you even start talking about a trade. And one that I want to point out is this level of support right here at the 1831, or the 1828, I'm sorry, which the stock broke below and broke down, but it bounced back up and started trading above that. And once it broke support again, that's why it broke down. But you can honestly do it to something to this degree. I'm going to leave that there, actually, and I'm going to create a new level for a reason. Reason being is because, as you can see, it's currently breaking through that again. You can expect this to go back to 2005, just based off of the constant retesting that it keeps doing here. And we look at it on a smaller time frame. We're right above that. Gary, let's look forward to find support above that 1828 going into today's market open. You know, things can perform very well pre-market, and then get destroyed on market open, as I said before. So something that also identifies, even though we broke above the 1828, let's see if we go and retest this 1852 and even find support there. That is a very strong signal, a bullish signal to me, that the stock will continue going higher. Okay. And beyond that, and then retesting those $20 price levels that I identified a minute ago. I will do a quick recap on the stock. I see that it's fairly new, just released right before 2021, IPO'd rather, and already has option contracts on it, which is typically a good sign. Fundamentally, the stock is up. Of course, it's going to say the stock is up year over year, 100%. Based on the quarter performance, though, quarterly, the company is down 125%. Here, I can show you guys this. I forgot I had this pulled up. So let's look at it here together. All right, so if you look here on the quarterly, we're down EPS negative 125%. We're down. We're not even reporting most of this information. But one thing you have to consider with that is just IPO'd. So typically what happens with IPOs, they break out crazy high, they gap down pretty heavy, and they gap up again. They continue gapping down. You want to let this settle. I'm not sure if you have a position in this already, but let it settle out, like maybe another quarter before going into this trade. Although it might outperform crazy but you know, just to secure your risk, like IPOs are great when they initially come out if you're able to get in before they're released, but they typically dip down pretty heavy, and a lot of people risk money going into them, so be careful here. Let me see if I can settle my daughter down and lay her down for a second. No, that's not gonna happen. All right, I'm back. All right. So, you guys wanted to look at OEG. I've never looked at the stock, so I'm about to make this chart look stupid crazy. So forgive me, but this is how I analyze my stocks myself. So starting off, let's pull my indicators back out real quick. Starting off, I always identify my levels of resistance, my levels of support, levels of resistance here. And the reason I do this is because you can better identify. Matter of fact, this is more stronger indicator than the other. The reason I do this is because you can identify why stocks gap up so heavy and they break down. So currently with OEG, we're currently trading between 1710 and 1089. We're going sideways in the trade, but that's why I pull in these indicators. I think this is actually going to retest the 1089 and potentially break above it. Let's go back even further in price history to see if we've ever seen these levels before. Look at that. 1089 has been a key level of resistance for almost 10 years. That's something to keep in mind. And the fact that the company is working to retest those levels, I would probably play this with let's see. If you entered right now, if you don't currently have a position, if you're looking to have a position, if you entered this right now, you can make 20% instantly off the trade if it retests those 1089s. Now, my question is, to anybody that asks me to review a trade, I always ask them, do you have a position? If you have a position, what is your price average? And if you feel free, you can share your position, the amount of the position you hold. That way we can kind of calculate your risk together. We can also calculate your potential gains in the trade. But with or without your position, I could still do that. So if you would, Arthur, if you would, Julian, let me know if you have a position, and then let me know what your price average is as well. And I can better assist you based off of those determinations and how I would play the trade moving forward. We also have a new viewer in here as well. I wasn't expecting too many people to come in, but if you would, please state your name in the chat so I know how to address you properly. And if you have a stock you want to review while we're doing this, waiting for market open, feel free to add it below. But looking at OEG, looks like we are going to retest those strong 1089 levels of resistance going into the next week or so. Or not the next week, the end of this week, potentially, is what I'm seeing. Although, based on these large buying volume spikes, this is what you see in green back here. We did see some selling come in, but it was corrected by more buying. So, strong signals here. If you wanted to look at it from a diagonal trend line, it would look something like that. And we're staying above that pretty strong. The stock opened up a little, what is that, about 30 cents higher today. Another key level that I would point out from a lower time frame is making sure we break above, find support at the 947 price levels as well. As you can see, we're currently in what they call an ascending triangle. Price action OEG 920. So you're holding this a little high, but fortunately it gapped up for you. Did you just buy this morning? Also, Jose's in here. SNDL, good news. We looked at SNDL, I believe earlier, but I can recap that a little bit if we need to. Julian, while we're looking at OEG, your price action is 920. It looks like you had to get in here. Maybe you got in here, I'm guessing, sometime around the 11th or sometime around the 5th. Regardless, I still think this stock's gonna retest the 1089 strong levels of resistance that we indicated. And based off of your trade, you're looking at making an 18% price average on the stock, on the investment. If you find strong support above that 1089, man, this thing could really take off. I will say that because it's such a strong level of resistance based on the price action we've seen over time going back to 2010 October. The next level I would like to go ahead and identify above that 1089 is 1460 or 1440, excuse me, and 1245. So that is key levels to look at, price targets to look at above the 1089. If we're able to find strong momentum going into that, which it's currently showing the signs of on the 1 hour to the upside. Let me pull my RSI and my MACD in. Yeah, I would probably alert on this stock today, and I'm glad you brought it to my attention for the simple fact that we're seeing the MACD show some signals to the upside. We're currently trading in this ascending triangle here, and we look for it to break above that 947 and perform very well against that 1089 once again. And the fact that we found so much strong support at these levels that is going to add to the momentum above the 1089 because people are more willing to hold on to the stock. And then once we do that, then we're looking at potentially retesting those 1245s moving forward, which it hasn't done for some time now, almost 10 years. So it's a new age for this stock. OEG, Orbital Energy, from a long-term business standpoint, I will pull up their fundamentals and we can review that a little bit more. Let me switch this over to my second. OEG is doing well quarter over quarter, 189% EPS growth, 409% net profit margins quarter over quarter. Like, that's wonderful, man. Another thing that stands out to me is their operating profit margin and gross profit margin are up 99% and 173% respectively quarter over quarter. So long term, well, I say long term, but shorter term, from a quarterly standpoint, looks good. With annual basis, I like the fact that we're up 14% year over year. But this stands out, the 1672% profit margin. That's nuts. So long term, I would definitely, how I would play this trade, it has some options on it. I've said this before in some of the other reviews we've done in this video alone, is I would buy some option contracts on this. I would go as deep as, let's see, I'm looking at potentially March 19th option contracts. I'd make maybe a $200 on the trade. And then I would put that equity stake into there, giving me about 20 shares. If we retest that 1089, I would actually make $200 to $300 off the trade. If we go to 1250, I would make roughly about $300 to $400 off an option contract. And so that would give me about 30 shares in the stock that I could just let sit, or I could put 15 shares and let that sit and pocket the remaining profits off of it. But I like the stock. I'm glad you added it. We have another viewer in here. If you want to discuss a trade before we go into the market open, feel free to drop it in the comments below. And thank you all for being here. We have another viewer. Thank you all for being here. I enjoy doing this. We're going to be doing coffee and stocks every pre-market. It's typically expected to be about a 30-minute session, but I don't mind spending more time with you guys to review some of your own trades as I'm waiting for the market to open with my plays in hand. Apparently, we're all able to work together and discover potential stock investments such as this one. This is a pretty good one, OEG. I will be watching it moving forward. So thank you for providing that. Jose asked about SNDL. And good news. Can you let me know what you mean? Like, what are you referring to? Good news. Did they release some news today that I'm not aware of? I can pull up their news tracker. Let me see. Announces $22 million investment in Nvidia. I said that over the weekend. I was talking about SNDL, and I said, as far as the company's performing, it's a good long-term hold. The only thing it would need is a catalyst such as an investment or a merger in expanding its business operations. And looky here, coming into Tuesday, first day of the trading week, they're announcing that they're putting $22 million in a leading Canadian producer of cannabis edibles, and are pleased to announce a $22 million strategy investment into Nvidia. I'm pretty sure the stock's probably jumping off of that news. It was released at 7:35 here, 7:35 a.m. We didn't see too much. Let me see. Did we see some crazy price action off of that? I think it's good news. It's always good news when a company is able to invest in another company to expand. And the fact that that's what's occurring right here, it gives me the confidence in the stock that, we gapped up, found support above the 213, dipped down a little bit below, but now we're back right into action. And that's right after the news release. I would have expected better performance out of that news release. But of course, it is pre-market, so you haven't seen your retail investors come in. I'm pretty sure they're going to see that news and it's going to explode. So if you're not already in this stock, I was already looking at making more calls on the stock myself. I don't have an equity position in it, but that's because of my trading strategy that I'm currently practicing, where I'm placing my options, profiting whether the stock's going up or down in order to get free shares and an equity stake. So I will be placing options based off of that news and the strength that it's showing pre-market, the fact that it gapped up, and we found support above that 213 level. I think the whole phenomenon that occurred last week where the stock blew up, all the wheat stocks blew up based on social sentiment, and then they have recently consolidated. We actually alerted on SNDL back on December 22nd when it was still at 52 cents a share. It actually provided like 138% return on the trade alert when it was at like 489 or something like that. Retarded. I think the stock still sits at like 300-400% where it's currently priced at from our initial trade alert. So it's been a strong winner for us. I've been making money on it the whole way up with my option calls, and I continue to do that. I knew that was going to occur with the whole social sentiment going into weed stocks. So I've been gathering money to the side to finally put an equity stake once everything consolidated. I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to be placing another option call in order to gain even more equity stake in the company myself. So that's my trading strategy on SNDL, Jose. We have 6 people in here now. Like I said, I wasn't expecting anybody. I just wanted this to be here for everyone to recap that has been following our coffee and stock segment. If you have any stocks you want to review while we're doing this, feel free to let me know. One thing I have to do is I have to look at DPW for the sake of my man Steven and our Facebook live trading chat room. And one thing that I discussed over the weekend with DPW is we were looking for the stock. Thank you, Jose. We were looking for the stock to break above this 638 price level. I'm going to remove some of these indicators so we can actually just see the trend of the stock price. What we're doing with DPW, if you don't know, is apparently a EV play, and it's also a Bitcoin play. They are a holdings company that have acquired multiple smaller subsidiary businesses to expand their own business portfolio, that being EVs, and that being also Bitcoin mining facilities that they're buying. They're buying warehouses to expand their mining capacities and stuff like that. So my man Steven's been pushing this DPW trade, and I analyzed the stock over the weekend. We're doing well with the gap up. Unlike other stocks that I identified earlier, with the gap up here, this didn't really retrace too hard, but it continued moving higher. So we are going to retest. The DPW. O'Shea, I'm not sure. Let me see if O'Shea's in here on the live trading session. All right, sorry guys, I'm communicating with our private group chat. I think some of them are watching from there. So we're looking for DPW to first find strong support above the 638 going into today's trade session, which was going to initiate calls for me to hit. I'll probably buy some $6 calls, so it's in the money if we find that support level above the 638. And if we do, then we are expecting this to trade between the 638 to 1094 price level. And to look at that from a percentage, that would provide us with almost, if you were to buy an equity stake, that's a potential 71% on the trade. And I mean, if you buy an option, that's nuts. If I were to buy an option on this right now, DPW, if they even have them, let me see. I think I was looking at March calls, $6. It cost me about $180. I'd make at least $65 per option contract that I bought per dollar that it goes up. If it goes up $4 roughly, that's about $400 to $500 that I make overall, if you add in the gamma that acquires as it continues to ride up to the upside. So looking for a trade there to catch it at the 1089 or 1094 levels of resistance, and hopefully for it to consolidate beyond there and pull back for me to actually place my equity trade. The stock is up here due to a stock split, so disregard that. $4,000 price level, don't let it like blow your socks out of the water. But that's what I'm looking to play on this stock. Glad that I actually alerted on it back maybe like October, November, and it wasn't performing as well as I wanted it to, and so I closed it out. But here recently, it's gained my attention based on its price action and how it's performing. Let's see here. IDEX was another member requested stock review in our coffee and stock session over the weekend. Once again, level of resistance is now becoming a level of support in pre-market, which is strong signals going into market open that we're going to move back to the upside to the 550 price level and retest those levels once again. We can pull back a little bit more to try to identify previous levels of resistance that play a part in these stocks, and one being $7 flat, as you can see right here, was a peak for the stock. So if we're able to break above the 550 and find support, then we're going to $7. So holding an equity stake in this at 462 would be great in order to provide. Let me see. I'm gonna do the quick calculations for you. $7 flat, 450 would provide at least a 56% profit gain on the stock. But we would have to find that strong support. Buying an equity stock now, we'd have to find strong support above 550 to confirm that we're going to $7. Okay, but moving forward, I have plug I haven't reviewed. I'm going to go ahead and review that. Let's see how we opened up pre-market first. Of course, everything gapped up as we expected. We gapped up above market close from Thursday's trading session, as you can see here, and we're currently finding some slight resistance at the $65 price level. Looking at it from the $4 point of view to identify our levels of support and key levels of resistance, we're trading sideways in this current channel, and we're looking to see if this continues moving back to the $73 price levels of resistance, retesting those and potentially going above it. I think the stock's actually been worth more than $73 before, I want to say it was, and it has. And then we can identify that our next level is somewhere near the number of $94 that it could potentially start trading within. But just to make sure we're not missing any other key levels here, let's do this. Let's try to zoom in here as much as possible and make sure we're not missing any key levels. There's one that I think stands out, and it's right there at the 85. So if we break above 73.14 within trading within this price range now, then we can expect this to go to that $85 price level next. That's the next key level from previous or historic outlook, and then trading between that. But it looks like we're finding strong resistance at the 73. And not enough momentum to continue to break through that, even though we tested it here, consolidated, found strong support, and then shot back up to retest it again. It was once again rejected. But what this is allowing it to do is consolidate at these price ranges, meaning more transactions are going into play here and allowing for new investors to hold at these price levels that it's currently in, and then allow for it to have a platform to rocket through those $73 price ranges, unless it has a catalyst that causes it to go to the downside. So that's something to look for here. I just wanted to wrap it up with that and not miss anything from this weekend's trade review. I am going to post this on our YouTube channel. If you haven't already, please be sure to like, subscribe, share, and hit the notification bell to participate in our coffee and stock sessions every pre-market. We have a 1-hour session on the Saturday to recap the entire week and also look into the week ahead, and discuss potential trades, share trade ideas and discussions with all of our viewers and members here at Millennial Investments. If you're not currently a member, you can register your free membership to just be a part of the community with the link in the description below, or you can become a premium member and participate in receiving all of our investment trades and option trades that we conduct here at Millennial Investments, so that you can kind of get an idea of how we're making the money we are making off of our investments, and continuing to work for ourselves based off of that information. I built this platform in order to share information like this, and that's my sole mission. So I'm glad that people are actually participating in that and being able to learn at the same time. That's key. And our mission here is helping you become a better investor and trader and make better investments and trades, and not be so risky and follow the trends that we're seeing across the market now, with it being so volatile and all this social sentiment. But otherwise, like I said, be sure to like, subscribe. I got about a minute left. Be sure to share if you want to show your support. Be sure to like the video as well if you want to show your support. Comment in the comments below with any questions you may have. As you can hear, my little one's currently passing out on me. I see somebody else joined us. I will be adding a link on all of our social media platforms to review this trade going into the market. It's about 8 o'clock, so I'm going to get ready for our potential trade alerts for the day and our trade positions as well. Other than that, man, be smart. Good luck trading going into today's trading session. I'm glad we were able to do everything we have done with the coffee and stocks, as far as, you know, providing you with more insight and information and key levels to watch for going into your trades and making your positions, just to make smarter trades and more money at the same time. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at any of our social media networks that are also linked in the description below. Feel free to participate with us. Hit that notification bell so you can participate in our live sessions such as this one. But until next time, have a great day. Tim's out.